Welcome to our second Advent Project 2022. It's time to go back into our box and look for our second surprise. So here we go, November 29th is the date. This is what we need for today. Let's check out what's inside. All right, what are we making today? See if we get some clues. Well, some fabric, some hard things. Let's see what we have. We have some interfacing. We have some clear piece of vinyl. We have a zipper. Well, we must be making something like a bag. We have some fabric, some carabiners, and the organizing stickers. This must be your present. And ooh, cool. Look at this little zipper pull for our zipper bag. So here's what we need for making our window zip, our little zipper bag. You want to start by going to our website and downloading and printing out our free pattern. You will need the outer fabric for the bag is a 1/4 yard, a fat 1/8 for our lining. You'll need a zipper at least about 12 inches long. Some interfacing, we are using Durafuse, so a little bit heavier interfacing. And then you will need a little clear vinyl piece for our window. So all the cutting instructions are in your free pattern. And so once you have all your materials cut and ready to go, we are ready to get started. We're starting with our vinyl piece here. So this was trimmed to a 5.5 by 7.5. If you're using the vinyl IM, this is by Annie, you will have a little paper attached to your vinyl. So we want to take that off before we start sewing. So I'm going to just lay it on my piece of paper right now so I can see where it's at because it's hard to see. So then we're going to take our lining piece and our main fabric piece. You saw in the pattern that you needed to, before you cut this large piece, attach your interfacing to it. So I did that before I cut the piece. So you want to fuse. There's a fusible side to that interfacing. Fuse it onto the big piece of fabric and then cut it into a 7.5 by 16. So this is our outside piece. And then we have our clear vinyl here. We're going to start by attaching these. So I'm going to lay my outer fabric here. I'm going to take my vinyl and lay that on top and align the raw edges here. And then I'm going to take my lining and I'm going to place that on top, right sides together, sandwiching that vinyl in between. And because we don't want to use pins to pin through the vinyl, I'm just going to use my Wonder Clips and clip this. So you can use, for your sewing machine, you can use a walking foot if you want. I actually choose not to do that. I just use my regular foot for this seam. And then later on, we are going to switch to our to a zipper foot. So what a zipper foot is a narrower foot. But for this first seam, I just want to use my 1/4 inch regular foot and stitch down here. And since we have fabric on both sides, you should have no trouble, no need for a vinyl foot, even you're using the vinyl in between. So let's go to the sewing machine. Now we have that first seam sewn and the vinyl is in between the lining and the outer fabric. So we're going to be adding a zipper on this side. Now you may have noticed that I am using teal thread in my sewing machine. And even though it doesn't matter for the first couple of stitches, you want to, going forward, match your threads with your outer fabric of the bag. So I just went ahead and did that right away. So now we are going to attach the zipper. But before doing that, you had cut a 2 by 9-inch piece of fabric from the outer fabric that does not have the interfacing on it. And we're going to prep this piece. So what we want to do is bring it to your iron and press it in half, like so. And then press your raw edges towards the middle, just like this here. So you see, I brought the raw edges to the middle and then I pressed it in half again. So creating this little bias tape, even though this is not bias. So we're going to attach this to the other side of the vinyl after we do the zipper. So before we turn this, we are going to attach the zipper between the outer layer and the lining. And so very important, this is going to be oversized, and I'm going to leave it like that. But first, we're going to sew, and very important, you want to have the zipper pull facing down, and then we're just going to sew this here, kind of centered, because we're going to trim the zipper, and then bringing that lining layer over like this, aligning the raw edges, and then we're going to use clips again to hold this. So before stitching this, you want to put a zipper foot on your sewing machine. If you don't have a zipper foot, make sure you're using your narrowest foot, because you want to be able to stitch as close to the zipper as possible. So I'm going to leave it like this and stitch all the way down here, securing the zipper between the lining and the outer piece. As you can see, I have my zipper foot on, and my foot is attachable two ways. I can attach it so that the needle drops on the left side, or I can attach it on the other side so it drops on the right side. So now I have it attached so the needle is dropping on the left side, because I wanted to get as close to the zipper as possible. So you want to back stitch on each side. So now we have it sewn inside, and we have this little pouch here. We are going to turn it right side out. And so now you'll see we have a zipper on one side, and then we have the clear vinyl on the other. Now I finger press here on this side, and I want to just push this vinyl piece out and finger press the other side. You don't want to put an iron on here because you don't want to melt the vinyl. So I just finger press this. I put a little clip on each side. And so we're going to then top stitch about 1/8 of an inch from the edge here, just to secure this seam. We're going to do the same thing on this side with the zipper. So I pull this out, I finger press, and in this case, I can actually put the iron on it to let it lay flat again. And again, we're going to top stitch just along the edge of the zipper on this side. One more thing before we go over to the sewing machine. Since we are going to be top stitching, we're going to take the piece that we folded here and put it on the other side of the vinyl. So you're just going to slip the vinyl piece inside, and then we're going to clip this. And when we top stitch this side, we actually want to make sure that we stitch as close to like about 1/8 of an inch from the vinyl part. So not on this edge, but the inner edge. So I'm going to go ahead and stitch all these top stitches, 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and 3. And leaving these a little bit larger for now. So our next step, I have it trimmed on this side, but the zipper is still long. It's easier to do this with a long zipper, so I'm going to trim it later on. But what we want to do is make a mark, so alongside this edge, just on the other side so I can see where the edge is, because what we're going to do now is bring our vinyl side around to attach to the other side of the zipper. But it's easier to do this by just opening up our zipper, leaving it open like this, so that we can actually just position this part on top here. And we have our markings. So I'm just going to use my clips and then bring in this around. And I can see exactly where I want it, and that's where I'm going to clip. So you want to kind of gauge it, how far the fold is from the zipper on this side, and we want to match it on this side because it's just going to get top stitched. So looks good to me. So we're going to clip it all the way around and all the way to the end, and making sure that the markings that I drew are just even with the edges. And this way, it's just going to be so much easier getting into it. So we have it attached, and let's go to our sewing machine. I switched my zipper foot so the needle is on the right side so I can get close to the end here. So now we are going to stitch just on the top stitch on the edge of the top edge of the outer fabric here. So as you can see, we can zip this back up and it's going to line up. So now it's time to just sew up the sides and trim our zipper. So what I do before I trim the zipper is I actually stitch across just to keep the edges together, but we want to make sure that you bring that zipper pull in between first. So I'm just going to do a little seam just to keep these together across on each side. So now you can see this is staying together and I still have the pull in the middle. So now I'm going to trim the zipper on this side and on this side, making sure I'm trimming it outside of that seam. It's okay if it's a little bit wider than the other pieces. And now we're actually going to turn this inside out. Well, we're going to do the wrong sides out. So turn it like this. But you want to make sure that your zipper is not all the way closed. We want to have it partly opened. So now we're going to just sew up the side. So this determines how far up we want the zipper to be. So I'm just going to grab my measuring tools. So what I want about 1.5 inches from the top. This is the top where the zipper is. From the top down to where the zipper lands. So I'm going to put my 0 mark on the zipper and then just fold it up until I'm happy with the placement. That's where I'm going to put clips on each side. So then as far as the bottom, we're going to really make this easy and make a little gusset on the bottom and stitch that. So box the bottom without doing cutting anything. So from the bottom, I'm going to measure about 1.25 inches. So about here, and I'm going to make little marks, 1.25 inches on each side. And I'm going to make a fold right on those marks and fold it back down like this. So we're really making a crease. So kind of like a little accordion here on the side, you'll see that. And just keeping it like this. So this is going to be the side of your bag. This is going to become a boxed bottom. So just clipping these sides, and then I'm going to add more clips to really hold these sides together. So that's really the last two seams we do, is each side here. But we want to do a straight stitch and then follow it with a zigzag to really secure these edges and stop them from fraying. We also might want to make sure that this zipper didn't pull apart. So let me just put a clip right on there. And so now I'm going to stitch first with a straight stitch and then follow it with a tight zigzag on each side. And do that with a regular foot. Take off our zipper foot. Next step is just trimming up our ends here a little bit, all over little threads, making it a little bit neater. And then we just turn our little bag. So we have to go into the little hole you left open. I usually just open the zipper all the way, and then we're going to turn this right side out. So we want to push out the corners here to create the little box bottom, like that, on each side. There. And then in the top corners, we want to also push that out using a pointy tool. I'm going to do the purple thing would be perfect. I don't have mine handy, but pushing out those little corners. And so your bag can fold flat like this, or you can make it stand too by opening up the box on the bottom. But we're not done. The bag is done, but we're going to do a little bit in addition. You had some additional strips of fabric still cut. We had some 1.5-inch strips and 2-inch strips. And in the fabric requirements, there were also some carabiners, optional. But here's what we're going to make with these. So we're going to take our 2-inch strips, just fold them in half, wrong sides together, and our 1.5-inch strip as well, wrong sides together. And then we're going to stitch with a 1/4-inch seam, not starting at the fold. We're going to start about 1/2 inch below the fold and sew down on each side. It's just like this. So you can see I top stitch at the bottom to leave a little unsewn piece at the top. So now we're going to turn this, and I actually like to turn it from the folded end. So all 3 of your strips, you're going to push this in on the top, and then use any kind of a pointy tool, turn tool. You can just use a pen, but you want to just pull it down on the sides until it pushes through on the other side, and then you can easily pull this all the way. And then we're just going to press this out, pull the corners out and press it. So once you have it pressed, you actually can go ahead and slip a carabiner through the top. So I have it pressed here, and all I did was through that little part that you left unsewn at the top, I pulled my carabiner through it, and so it loops around. On the bottom, what you want to do is tuck in the raw edges and just stitch it at the bottom. But why did we make these? Well, you may have seen our organizing stickers and how you can make numbered clips, wonder clips, and lettered wonder clips in 2 sizes. So this is a little tool to organize your clips. So here's the small strip, the 1.5-inch strip, meant for the little clips. And then here you will have 2 wider ones meant for your large clips to store them in order. So when you are making your cuts for a project, you can always have them in order, and they can just be stored inside our little window zip and pulled out whenever you need them. The great thing about the carabiners is you can clip them to anything. You could even just clip them to the outside of the bag while you're working with them, and the bag can stand, and your clips are ready and handy whenever you need them. I hope you enjoyed making the G-Easy window zip, whether you use it to organize your G-Easy clips with the organizing stickers, pull them right out, and they're ready to use, or whatever else. It's a great bag, can stand upright right next to you with everything right at hand. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.